I'm a professor at NYU. My name is Maha, and I've been teaching global risk, working with graduate students for about 7 years. And I've also recently published my first book, Future World Order, which is about global risk, so you're welcome to check it out. But I also feel it's important for a younger audience to be exposed to the global challenges we're faced with, which is why I produced this comic book. I drew The Global Kid. It's loosely based on my life as well, having grown up in 7 countries. And the idea is the Global Kid superhero is educating the young reader about the global risks we're faced with, and he suggests possible strategies to tackle these risks. So that's the adult version and the kid version. So check it out. Well, I definitely agree with, the Global Challenges Foundation talks a lot about climate change, as do other analysts, and that's definitely at the top of the list. But I think that beyond that, we also have to recognize that we are at a global turning point geopolitically. We're not really sure who's in charge of the world anymore. The instinct is to say China, the US-China competition will define us in the coming years. But some people say the future is African or the future is Asian, or is simply going to be driven by tech firms. So the fact that we don't have clarity on who's in charge is a major concern for me as a social scientist. We also know politically there's a major concern about democracy. Is it the best system? Globally, there's a challenge to the political status quo. But I think the major risks we should be concerned about is perhaps more rooted in identity. Are we globalists or are we nationalists? There are many xenophobic extremist movements brewing, sadly, in every part of the world. And I don't necessarily see a strong counter-narrative to this hate speech, nor do I see leadership that can tackle this issue. The only leader who stands out at the moment is New Zealand's Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern. The way she has highlighted this issue and tried to combat hate speech and so forth, that is remarkable, but she seems to be the only one who's doing anything. So the identity crisis is probably my biggest concern, and it's not something tangible. It's hard to come up with policy, so we need to be worried about that. Well, I think one way is to be creative, okay? So the comic book and other visual arts are an opportunity for us to enlighten a younger audience in a gentler way. I think that's important. But I also feel that in terms of academics, there's a need to make sure that more of our research, more of our ideas are offered to a mass audience rather than simply specialist groups. So the book I've written actually is more focused for the average reader. It's not necessarily something that should be just simply given to academics. So I think that's part of the solution, hopefully, to educate.